I have reached a point where I genuinely don't care if something is premium, expensive, or hype anymore. I only care about one thing now. Does it actually make my life better? After using all this gear for a while, I realized one thing. The most useful items are actually not the most exciting ones. They're just the ones that quietly remove the friction every single day. I think when you first get into setups, tech, and productivity gear, it's really easy to get pulled into the wrong questions. You start asking, is this premium? Is this the best brand? Is this what everyone else is using? But over time I realized none of those things actually matter to me. I don't care about status. I don't care if it looks impressive on camera. I care if it helps me to work better, feel more comfortable, and makes my everyday life just a little bit easier. So now that's how I judge every single item that I own. The first thing that improves my day is my desk. The Secret Lab Magnus Pro is by far the best desk that I ever had. It's not just about the easiness of use, but also the add-ons, the things that you can just add like a desk riser, monitor arm, that it just makes not just look like premium, but make whatever workflow you're using or you have very easy to set up because all the cables are hidden. You can manage them very well with the magnetic hooks. It doesn't need to be more complicated than that. When something becomes part of your everyday workflow that you even forgot that you have it, that usually means whatever you bought is doing the job very well. My second one is the CallDigit TS5 Plus, and this genuinely made a difference. Before this, I was using cheap USB hubs until one short-circuit my MacBook Pro, and then I have to send to the Apple support. After that day and waiting for 3 weeks to get my MacBook repaired, from one side was actually very good because I had more time off, but from the other hand, I realized that if I have a very good computer, like my MacBook Pro, I need also to have good accessories so I don't burn my MacBook Pro because I'm being cheapskate on other items. So what the CallDigit does is basically a USB hub, but a very powerful one. So they have two controllers. It won't reduce the speed transfer of multiple devices connected to that specific USB hub. That for me itself is a huge plus into this dock. So it's not the most exciting item in my setup, but it's one that I really use every day and really makes all the difference. Another one that I sometimes even forget I have it is my monitor arm. I bought the Secret Lab monitor arm because I have a huge monitor, as you can see, and the main issue with this monitor that it's so heavy, about 14 kilos, that the stand itself covers almost half of my desk. So in order to avoid that, I had to buy a monitor arm. And unfortunately, because of the weight of this monitor, I need to buy a very good and expensive monitor arm. But rest assured, I can use this monitor arm for years because it's VESA mount, which is the standard for any monitor, and I can just, whenever this monitor breaks, replace that with another monitor. So in this case, I'm not keeping because it's fancy or because it's the Secret Lab or look pretty. I'm keeping because it solves a real problem. If I use the stand, it will cover almost half of my desk, literally. So it not just holds the monitor properly and remove all the used space that the stand would take, but also improves the ergonomic and the comfort in the desk because I won't have two things like this covering almost half of my desk. And that's something I've started to notice more in general. The most useful gear is the gear that removes all the annoyances. Sometimes could be even something that you forget that you have, but is doing its job quietly. Then there are things that I like, but I would describe as helpful rather than essential. And for me that includes things like my Apple Watch and my AirPods Pro. They're good products, they're convenient, they work with the Apple ecosystem, but if I'm being honest, they don't change my life the way my USB hub does or my monitor arm does. They support the experience, they make things easier, but they're not the foundation, because not everything that you consider useful has the same level of impact on your life. I think the part that people miss when they talk about setups, they talk about expensive gear like it's automatically better or like every upgrade matters equally, but that hasn't been true for me. Some things improve your workflow, other things improve your comfort, and some things are actually just nice to have. Take my Herman Milan chair for example. I think it's comfortable, I think it helps me with my posture. I do think the adjustability is great. The Atlas headrest is a very nice add-on. So yes, it does help me to improve my experience while working. But it also helped me to realize something important. Just because something is good, it doesn't mean it actually transforms your life. Sometimes the gain is real, but just smaller than people make it sound. And that's okay because everyone needs to sell, right? But that made me realize that in my videos, I want to make the clear difference between what's good and what's truly impactful into your life. I think the Secret Lab footrest sits in a similar category to me. It's nice, it adds comfort, I would understand why someone would want it, but when I actually think about the things that change my day-to-day life, it's not the first thing that comes into my mind. Don't get me wrong, if I remove it from where it is today, I would definitely miss it because whenever I'm going to my desk, I already put my feet on the footrest. The question that I always try to do myself is, I would try to always judge less by how premium this looks or feel, but how actually this is impacting to my life, by whether I would miss it or not if this just disappear tomorrow. And this question has become the filter for most of the things I buy now. So if there's one thing that I've learned is that the best gear is not the gear that impresses other people, it's the gear that remove friction from your life. The things that actually helped me were the ones that make my work smoother or make myself more comfortable or just solve a real problem that I was running into. I'm curious to know now, what's the one item in your setup that genuinely improve your life? And if you like videos about useful tech, workflows, and helpful gear that improves your life, that's what this channel is all about. I hope you like this video and I see you in the next time.